well, a little bit of a different video for you, but I just bought this truck here from my next door neighbor. You're probably gonna see it in the background of a few videos here and there. So my neighbor is an older lady. She bought this brand new back in 1995. The title actually has 6 for the odometer mileage on it. Up until about 10 or so years ago, she's always had horses and livestock, and she's kind of a little bit too old for that now, but this is kind of what she used to move them around or get hay or feed or whatever. In the last 10, 11 years since I lived here, I've seen her use it probably 5 times. For the rest of the time, it just sits. And it's probably sat for about 3 or so years without ever being used. The tags had expired 2 years ago. Anyway, she mentioned she wanted to sell it, and I said sure, without even having looked at it. But I know she kind of takes good care of her stuff, but it's actually in really, really good condition. The best part of this deal though is I do not have a garage anywhere on my property. I just have the shop here. She said it was fine if I kept stored it in her garage, which is good because this has been stored in the garage for the last 30 years. It's, I mean, the paint is like perfect still. It's like never been outside. It's actually quite amazing. I've been having trouble for a while now with trying to tow bigger loads. My F-150 is rated for a lot, but anything over about 5 or so thousand pounds, 6,000 pounds, it just is just kind of not the best experience. I'm hoping with this, I can get up into about the 10,000 pound range comfortably. We'll see. I don't know, I've never really towed really heavy stuff before, but short term, I do need to move this Bobcat track loader next week. So I want to get this thing cleaned up and ready to go for that. Like I said, it hasn't even really been driven for years, and it probably needs some maintenance. All right, well, let's check this thing out. I really actually haven't looked at it too closely. Not super knowledgeable on the Dodges. I was always kind of a fan of Chevy stuff when this came out, which was when I was in high school. This obviously has the 12 valve in it, which I'm told people like. It's a good engine. Body's in great shape. This has been kept in the garage since it was new. It's never really spent much time outside. A few days here and there, but that's about it. Super straight, no dents on this side. The only damage I've seen is on this tailgate. She told me the story of what happened here, but it got a little banged up from some bad decisions, apparently. I mean, this side's super straight. There's some stuff, I think this is just, yeah, that's not even a ding. So when she bought this, she was a little bit over 50, right? So this has been old lady owned and taken care of its entire life. Little scratch here, but no dents, just the tailgate. What is this? This is probably from the garage where it was kept. This is drywall. Yeah, so this is the original paint. It's in great condition. Check the roof. It's just super dusty because it's been sitting for a few years. So this is the, I forget what they call this, the club cab, something like that. They, I seem to remember, I remember even this from high school, they didn't offer a crew cab version. But, oh, fair warning, she left all of her stuff in here. You know, she's an older lady, so I said I'd clean it out for her and bring all the stuff back. So she, you know, I still have to kind of go through here. But this is the condition it was in when I bought it. I mean, it looks pretty good. There's just, obviously there's not any rust. We don't salt the roads out here, and if it's garage kept, it's not gonna rust. So there's, you know, I've yet to see any even sign of rust anywhere on the body. Door card there. Are missing a little bit of trim there. Ooh, look at this, power mirrors. I think the battery is mostly dead, or batteries, so there might be a little bit of charge left, but power windows, door locks. This is top of the line for 95. Got some phone books in here. Some maps. This looks like a, oh my, yep, that would be a handgun. Let me go ahead and return that to her real quick. Yeah, that was fully loaded. You don't want to mess with old ladies in the country. So I'm just seeing if there's anything truck related. I don't really kind of want to dig through her stuff on camera. This is basically every receipt she's saved. She's had this, it looks, Jiffy Lube, that's not good. They don't do the best work there, but she's kept notes. I'll go through that off camera. But she kind of just said that she, you know, she had it serviced regularly. She kind of stopped with the service up until about 3 or 4 years ago. I think this is going to clean up really nice. This is like, this area here is cleaner than my 2021 F-150. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to clean out here. There's actually a full seat back here. I bet you I could fit my kids back here. It's kind of small to see the truck. That's nice. Got an armrest. What does that do? Ooh, whoa, hello. Oh, we got a tape deck in here? Oh, you know what's crazy is my last truck from the 90s was like a 99 Chevy, and it smells exactly the same in here as it did in that truck. This is actually showing me a whole new side of her because, you know, I've only really known the old version. She was definitely into country. All right, well, I'll go through that on my own time. Yeah, we got a COVID mask because that would line up with the time frame here. Last time I saw her drive this thing. You know, it's dirty in here, but this is, nothing's like broken. We got a cigarette lighter in here. That's excellent. Yeah. Ooh, AC. Do we have AC in this? I'll have to test that out later. Oh, yeah, Faith Hill up there. The nice thing also is she has a cat, so there's no mice. Like, it doesn't smell like mice in here. There's a cat that lives in that garage. All right. Well, not much else to. Oh, by the way, on these little ears here, I think she said she had a camper on here at some point in her younger years. So that's probably what that's for. We can take that off. And then, oh yeah, and because of the camper, they put airbags in. And I think the way you adjust those, let's see. Yeah. So there's a airport here. You just have to manually air them up, which that's pretty cool. These actually look decent. I have these tires while we're here. I think that's 2009. So they look okay. 17 years. Okay. Anyway, really nice in here. Headliner works great. Nothing's really dirty. I think this is gonna look really, really nice once we vacuum it out and clean it up. I mean, what is this? 31 years old? I don't think I've ever actually seen a car from the mid 90s looking this nice in this time frame. I mean, these are always the spots where all the nastiness starts, and it's just great. Check the engine out. Oh, classic. That's always used to do that too. Yeah, so these batteries are dead. I know that already, obviously. She's got some goop on here. Looks pretty good up top. Nothing's hacked up. This right here is probably from a rodent. Yeah. Something's been not too bad though, honestly. Don't really know actually anything about these engines. I just have a bunch of secondhand information. This is supposedly really good though. I mean, this is the 12 valve Cummins mechanical fuel injection. The only thing I've ever heard about these is that they have that killer dowel thing where in the timing cover, the dowel pops out and gets rolled around the engine. So I'm sure this hasn't had the fix for that. Did I ever show you the mileage? Let's look at the mileage really quick. Sorry about that. We are at 107,000 miles. For 30 years, that's pretty good, I think. I mean, I know these engines can do a lot more than that, that's for sure. There's really not even like rust on the turbo. I mean, this looks really clean. I guess for 100,000 miles. It just looks, everything is so nice and clean out here. Look at this. We got some kind of amateur wiring here. That's probably from that trailer brake controller that I saw. Using the same color for everything and no conduit. We'll fix that up, don't worry about it. I'll have to look at the receipts to see what she's changed. Obviously she's changed this recently. This still looks really good. And this belt looks really new. And I don't see any on this rubber stuff. Looks all pretty good. We got a Mopar filter down there. It's nice. Yeah, this thing. When I moved the truck, I saw a few wet spots on the floor. So there's gonna be some leaks. Yeah. Oh yeah, she bought this thing in Montana, by the way. I don't know why I remember that, but oh, yeah, the rust situation looks pretty good. Just kind of, okay, what axle do we have here? Is there a tag? 354 gears. It's not the best towing gear. I mean, it's not the best one, but yeah, we got a leak obviously here. Wipe this off here. Use limited slip diff lube only. All right, guys, and I apologize, not a Dodge expert here. I think the last Chrysler product I owned was a Jeep, but looks like to me, I just got the service manual here. This would be the Dana 60 axle. It looks like, I'll have to double check in the service manual, but this is RTV, so we don't need a gasket, we just need to RTV it. Did they RTV the bolts? No. It actually looks like it's been leaking out of here. All right. What do we got here? Man, it looks really good in here though. Look at this. This is, we got a little bit of surface rust on this portion of the frame, but that's nothing. Nothing's rotted out. These running boards have to go though. This is pretty nasty. Look at this. There's like is that angle bracket? That's terrible. Yeah, we'll probably take these running boards off. Okay. We got a joint here. So we got a joint there. Ooh. Some underbody coating here. Okay, so we got to do the transfer case. I'll change the oil on that. How's the exhaust look? Really good. Look at this, 31 years old. Crazy. Okay, here's transmission. Okay, we got I see some leaks over here now. We're getting into the ugly. We got some, it's kind of hard to show up here, but we got obviously leakage on the pan. I mean, I'm gonna change the fluid anyway. It looks though, where's that leak coming from? Is that coming from the pan gasket or something else? It's hard to tell. I got a better light here. This is much better. So I don't really see anything on the bad on the actual transmission. It's just the pan, so that's not a problem. Up here, I mean, I don't see like an active leak. I see this, which, I mean, this looks somewhat, I mean, it's hard to tell because it's been sitting. Oil pan, not bad. There is some drippage here, but this looks a lot like it's drippage right around here, so that's probably just, needs some thread sealant on there or something. Obviously, if it's the oil pan gasket, that's gonna be a big job. It looks like maybe you can drop it down and pull it back, but it's also like right over that cross member, so maybe, yeah, I mean, that's probably not something that, well, we don't even want to talk about that right now. Up in here, there's just like this, I don't know if that's undercoating with like just grease flung on it. Looks like at least the pinion seal is good here, but we are leaking here too. I saw that. I saw that on the floor. That's our TV. Okay, so we'll do that axle obviously anyway. I don't see anything bad. I mean, there's no like out of control leaks. All right, we're at the front here. Yeah, belt still good. Don't see any cracking on there. Just moisture. For some reason, this is really wet. That would be something dripping on it, probably. Oh yeah, we got, you see that wiring conduit up there? That's wet. So we got something dripping from that onto the wiring conduit. I bet you that's probably like power steering. That's usually the first thing to start leaking. Dana 60, I see a 60F right there. Where is the power steering though? Right in here. So this is low. Now, it's not actively leaking, so it's probably just leaking when it's running. There's plenty in there. Well, if you look down there, that's the steering box, and the hoses are coming out for the power steering, and then they run up to the pump where I just checked the fluid. It looks like the pump is probably gear driven. I mean, like I said, I don't know these engines, but it looks like it's gear driven right off of, in like the timing, it plugs into the back of the timing cover area. And that's where all the grease is. I'm trying to get you, it's just, you know, so much crap in the way, but down there. So that looks like a big job to me. I'll have to look that up, but that's not something I'm gonna worry about right now. All right, so I don't see anything like major going on here. I think we have a short-term plan. We'll change out the filters, change out the fluids. All right, I think I've gathered what I need here. So we'll start with the transmission, I think. Yeah, this is supposed to be the 47 RH transmission. This kit came with 2 gaskets. In the service manual, it says to also do the kickdown band adjustment when you're changing the fluid out. So we'll do that too, I guess. All right, well, this is a 1995, right? So it looks like everything on here is metric. That's kind of when people were switching over. Let's see here. The fluid looks actually really good. Bright red. You know, I think the oil, I checked the engine oil too. That looked almost brand new, but that cheap stuff they use at Jiffy Lube, I mean, who knows what's in that? It's probably the wrong fluid anyway. So better safe than sorry. Uh-oh. Okay. Good, the gasket didn't stick. Looks pretty good in the pan. Is this a magnet? Some stuff on it, but not like a ton. This is a hard gasket, not like what I had. This one looks like it's reusable actually, but I won't be reusing it. Okay, maybe it's been a while. There's some stuff in here. Nothing like major, no big chunks or anything. All right, got this cleaned up. Someone has ground off like half of the paint on the flange instead of all of it, which is probably why it was leaking. There's still like residue. This looks like cork residue maybe from the original gasket. So kind of just a half-effort job. Probably Jiffy Lube. I'm gonna be blaming them for everything from here on out, just because I saw those receipts. Anyway, I'm gonna grind this smooth. Oh, look at that. That's probably why it was leaking right there. So this needs to be kind of just, I'll get the file out maybe and kind of smooth this down a little bit. Okay, clean this up. there was a bunch of burrs there on that flange. We got those smoothed out. In here, we have a little bit of a problem. Right here, someone has used a wedge to remove the pan at some point here, and I can see a spot there. Nothing on the other side. That's a problem. That's way above the flange surface. We're gonna have to get that cleaned up. Remember, this thing was leaking, so that definitely is not gonna be helping. It looks like we got Torx holding the filter in. Interesting. Okay, that's pretty good. This one is our fine up here. Do see some dirt on the intake side there. And I believe the manual said tighten these to 35 inch-pounds, which is something we will do. Not the kind of thing you want to come loose or over tighten in an aluminum housing. There it is. So they made these holes nice and small so you can do this. I appreciate that. Hold the gasket in place and the bolts. The Ford ones, they don't do that. A little bit concerning is how bright red the fluid was. Like, it looked brand new, but there was a fair amount of junk on the bottom. I mean, like if you change the transmission fluid out at, like, you know, 60,000 miles or something, that was the amount of material you'd see. So that's something to keep an eye on, I think. I think we'll probably do another transmission fluid change, let's say in like 10,000 miles or something, and see what it looks like. If you're doing a lot of towing, the last thing you want is to have your transmission blow up on the road. So that's something to watch, I think. Okay, put the date on, the mileage. Let me keep track. We're over here on the driver's side of the transmission. So the rear band adjustment I already did. That's inside the pan. Now we have to do the front band, which the adjustment is on this lock nut. I just wanted to show this to you. So there's this spring right here, and this was disconnected. This was sitting here, and I'm pretty sure it goes up to right here, if you can see that. So I think what happened is at some point someone adjusted this band and then they forgot to rehook the spring up, because you kind of need to move the spring to get to here. So anyway, it's exactly the same for the front and rear. There's a lock nut. Not sure if you can see this. You got to loosen that, and then you screw this middle part all the way in, and then you back it out. I think it's 1 7/8 turns on this transmission. There is a torque spec for how much you put it in, because there is resistance as you screw it in. So I think it's like, I want to say it's like 75 or 80 inch-pounds or something. I removed around a little bit over 5 quarts of transmission fluid. I measured out what I had removed, so we'll add that much in. You know, very real possibility that if she had Jiffy Lube or whoever do the transmission fluid, they put the wrong kind of fluid in, which is not good typically. So, you know, that's another reason to change the fluid out again after 10,000 miles. I believe ATF4, I kind of I did a little research. I think this is the right stuff to use. And this is what is this? This is a 1 gallon. Now while we're here, ooh, this is Misage. Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's not terrible. Sometimes you can get a there we go. There we go. Works every time. The fluid looks pretty good. Let's see how much debris there is on the bottom. Oh yeah, she's a limited slip. What's this look like? No big grit, but you know, you can see some stuff. Well, you probably can't, but now they put a magnet in here, but it's like way up here, right below the fill plug. I guess there's just no room to put it lower. Based on the amount of RTV that was on this, I'm guessing it's been changed before. There was a lot on there. They wouldn't use that much at the factory. Much as you can. Way too much. Why is this not? I think it was 80W90 for the front and rear. Was there a special lubricant for the, since this is limited slip? I want to say no, but I'll double check that. Definitely had this off before because the tag that goes right here is missing. You can see the mark where it used to be. There it is. You gotta just hit on it and then you can get the putty knife in there. Ooh, this fluid looks really good. Much less debris, or not debris, but you know, it looks a lot cleaner. And there's no lip right here too, so you can get everything out of here, which is nice. Yeah, someone messed this flange up pretty nice. Let me fix that real quick. I believe these are all blind holes, so you don't actually have to do that. Easy. Yep, easy. Uh-oh. That's the way. There it is. Well, I remember this from my Jeep. These are not Torx fittings. They have an extra point or two. Fortunately, There's a hex head, so we can use these. I feel like on my Jeep though, I had to get a special fitting, which I can't find. Let's see. Classic dump all over the drain pan if you don't have a cardboard on it. Fluid looks good though. Is this magnetic? Not magnetic. We got sealing washers on here. I think we got it there. This is the front differential. Oh yeah, we're good there. So onto the rear axle, I did do some research, and you are supposed to use a friction modifier for if you have a limited slip, which I do. So all I have is this on hand. This is the Ford version. And I looked it up, and according to multiple sources online, XL3 is what this is. And this meets the Chrysler spec for friction modifier. There's like 15 different Chrysler specs, and it meets all of them. So this is what I'll use. Technically, you're supposed to use a little bit more than this. This is 4 ounces. I think you're supposed to use about 5 or so. But we'll pour it in here to kind of pre-mix it. And then this is the one I just used for the front, so it's mostly empty. And then we'll add some more gear oil to this and try to get as much of this as we can into the rear axle. If you've never used this before, this stuff smells really bad. All right, well, that's all the underside fluids. So I think we're ready to start this thing up and flush the coolant, change the oil. There's a little bit of rust starting to form on some of these fasteners, so I'm gonna throw some battery mat in. Kind of shields against acid. Brand new batteries. These things ain't cheap anymore. Okay, so we're about ready to go. I'm gonna drain the radiator real quick so we can throw in some coolant flush stuff. So let me get that done. Not seeing a radiator drain yet. Let's keep looking. I found it. It's kind of hidden over on that side. Coolant looked pretty good, so maybe a little bit light as far as the mixture. Too much water maybe, but besides that, it would look pretty clean. I'm gonna use 2 of these since this is a pretty big cooling system. I shouldn't have my phone right here. So we're gonna run this for a while, get the oil warm too at the same time. I'll just mention that the engine oil actually looks really clean on here. It's hardly been used, but once again, who knows what they're putting in it at Jiffy Lube. So we'll change all that. All right. We get the heater on full here. Help flush it out. It's been about 10 minutes. Still waiting for the thermostat to open. Probably should have waited for a warmer day. We got good oil pressure. Fuel's 3/4. That's pretty nice. So we're still really cold. Battery's charging, that's good. So we just gotta wait it out, I guess. It looks like we got a red line of about 3,000 RPMs. Nice. Well, I had to run this thing for a long time last night to get it to warm up, and then it was getting late, so I didn't really film it, but I just came out and shut it off and then dumped the oil and the coolant. So let's get this filter out. It's gonna want to drop straight down. Yep. A genuine Mopar filter. I wouldn't think Jiffy Lube would use that, but maybe this was changed by the dealer. Now this is mostly going to be a waste of time because this engine only has 100,000 on it, which is not much for this engine, I don't think. We'll just make sure, since I'm going to be taking this a few hundred miles away, pulling a 10,000 pound load. Check everything we can, I guess. Yeah, nothing big there. Oh, there's a spring in it. This looks really good. Yeah, beautiful. I think I checked the records, and the last oil change, though, was not long. I mean, obviously you can tell the last oil change was not too long ago. So really no surprises here. Nothing's coming apart, obviously, and there's no... This just looks like a brand new filter. I usually just use Motorcraft, like Ford filters for my trucks. Haven't used a Wix in a long time, but this is one of the first filters I've seen in a long time where usually I go and I wipe out the inside of the threads because there's almost always like machining grit that's stuck in the threads, which gets into your engine, obviously. But this one was completely clean. Nothing on the rag. All right, well, it's like June 8th and raining right now for some reason, so I'm gonna bring the camera in, but I can't even really film this, but back there, that white thing is the fuel filter, so I want to change that out. So this is the water and fuel sensor, I believe. The O-ring on here is pretty hard, so I'm gonna put a new one on. It just goes on the bottom. This thing wasn't really super tight, it shouldn't be. All right, this is pre-filled. Red diesel, that's all I have on hand. I'm sure the Oregon State Police will forgive me. It's just, yeah, come on. Oh my gosh. They don't give you much space in here, that's for sure. There's so many threads on here. We're ready for coolant. I got the radiators full. Let's start it up and circulate through this coolant. Make sure there's no leaks. Hopefully the batteries are still charged. Probably not. Yeah, that's from the fuel filter replacement. So I believe there is a hand prime somewhere on the injection pump. Do we want to mess with that, or do we want to just try again? Maybe we should just try again a couple times. There we go. Already low here. All right, guys, so I think mechanically we're gonna be okay. I'm getting a little bit nervous about this because basically this truck's unproven. I'm gonna be driving it 100 miles with that 8,000 pound skid steer and a trailer. Really, I think the last thing to worry about is the brakes and the tires. These tires, I checked the dot tags on them, and they are from 2009. So I'm gonna go ahead, and it's gonna be expensive, but I'm gonna swap out these tires just to remove one potential problem from the strip coming up. I'll take a quick peek at the brakes when they got the wheels off. They usually let me do that. It's been a couple days. I've driven it to work for a couple days just to make sure nothing's wrong. How many miles have we put on it? 55. So it's 100 miles there and back. I did put brand new tires on since the old tires were like 15, 16 years old. A little bit scary to be towing with really old tires. We got no leaks so far, at least none that I've seen. Transmission pan is clean. I'm always worried about when a car that's been sitting for a while, sometimes the pinion seals start leaking, but these are fine. Rear's good. These air shocks do hold air. I think I have them at like 20 PSI. I'll probably adjust them here when I get the machine on. There was one gotcha on the transmission fluid that I just figured out. You're supposed to check it when the engine's running and it's in neutral, not in park. When you put it in neutral, the fluid drops like noticeably. So I was about a half quart low from that. Thankfully I caught that though before towing. I think that's about it. Let's load this up and see what it does to the rear suspension. A little bit scary. That's almost forgot. We've got to cover up the exhaust since we're going backwards. You don't want the air coming in to blow the turbo with no oil on it. All right, let's go. Drive off. Brake check. All right, good. Rental trailer doesn't use the brake controller. It uses like the hydraulic surge brakes, so you can't really adjust it by yourself. Yeah, this thing is so much more stable than my F-150 with my travel trailer behind it. That travel trailer only weighs like 4,500 pounds, and it's so shaky going down that hill. Made it to downtown Hillsboro. Was that 6 miles? I stopped at the gas station and filled her up. Temperature is still super low, even though we've been doing a bunch of city driving. I went through all the receipts last night just to see what she had done, and this thing, in the last 10 years, it's put on about 2,000 miles on this truck. The water pump was changed twice for some reason recently. The last time was 1,000 miles ago. I was kind of worried about the water pump. The radiator's new. So really the only concern for me right now is the transmission. You know, 90s Dodge transmissions don't really have the best reputation. So we'll I think we'll be okay though. We're doing good right now. Third gear. Scrapage. Basically holding this speed and RPM. That's as warm as the engine's been getting this whole time. We're doing good setup like this. We got the overdrive off. We're just third gear. Going kind of slower than traffic, but that's fine. I believe this is the exit. Made it. Not gonna lie, I had my doubts. Plenty of parking at least. Trailer it's back there, but it's empty. We did it. And now just 100 miles home. With the skid steer gone, we got the overdrive on here. So now we're just cruising along, 65, no problem. Nice low RPM. Okay, well the good news is that the cruise control works. I didn't want to use that when I had the skid steer, but now it's just rolling along here. Bad news is the AC does not work. So I'm glad I didn't wait for a 90-degree day to do this. All right, well, I've made it back alive with no problems, returned the trailer. I really got to give this truck credit. It gave me no trouble at all this entire time. I was kind of expecting more stuff to happen, but it just performed great. Even though it's been sitting for 5 years, like the first time I drove it, it put up a big smoke cloud, just probably from oil that had dripped into the turbo. But it did not smoke, did not burn any oil. The transmission's fluid still smells good and didn't lose any of that. Really only 2 issues that I found. Number 1, there's no AC. It just needs to be recharged or it's leaking or something. That's not really a big deal. For a mid-90s car, that's pretty common. Number 2, from about 12 to 15 miles an hour, and it's so consistent, there's a kind of a shaking when you're accelerating. Very consistent. In my mind, that's probably something with like a U-joint, or I think there's a carrier bearing on here because the drive shaft's so long. That's probably what that is. I'll have to look into that. I don't think it's a transmission because it doesn't matter how much you're accelerating or how little, it just always happens. So now the question is, what should I do with this? I only have a few thousand into it, and I know it's probably worth a fair amount more than what I paid for it. I could probably just park it in the garage and wait another 10 years and then, you know, put it up on Bring a Trailer or something. I really don't want to modify it because it's probably worth a lot more just in an unmodified state. If I was going to keep it as a tow vehicle, there'd probably be a few changes that I want to make. Number 1, I would probably take out the bed liner and put in a 5th wheel hitch. I think that'd be a lot better to tow. Also the transmission. I don't know a lot about this transmission, but you know, a mid-90s Dodge transmission, they don't have the best reputation. And I have looked and seen that there are some upgrades you can do, you know, replacing the torque converter, input shaft, a few other things. It is a nice transmission because it's all mechanical or hydraulic controlled. There's no electronics on it. And then obviously the engine is all mechanically controlled. So that's kind of a really cool setup. You don't see that anymore these days. Obviously the engine's great. Not much to do there. I do know, like I mentioned before, the killer dowel pin, that's probably something that needs to get fixed. I actually have the kit for that. And I have the gaskets and all that, but that's kind of a big job because you got to take the whole front of the engine off and all that. That would also be a good time to fix the power steering leak, which is clearly leaking from that timing cover. Anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking, but if you guys have any suggestions, I'm sure someone watching right now knows so much more than I do about this truck and has so many great suggestions, so please let me know. But besides that, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video.